All right, you are live. This is
Hey.
exciting. All right, so we'll wait a few seconds. So thanks, babe. We'll wait. I won't be able to get it there. Can we put it here? Thank you. The tea, the coffee has arrived.
Ooh, yes, we love
Butler
it.
mug and the water. Thank you. Okay, great. All right. So, hi everyone. I know it's going to take a few minutes for folks to get in, but those who are watching live, happy Saturday. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
So, as you know, this is Evelyn from the internets, and she is here live and direct. And this is pretty exciting. So, for those of you who watched the first part of this collaboration, what we did was, and I say we because it was a collaboration, but
Yeah,
I have to
of
say
course.
it was. But the editing and the concept and the writing, that was Evelyn. And it was amazing. The live recommendation was me, and the questions and so on. So it was a true collaboration. But we're here on the Onyx Pages platform because this is a booktube channel, and what we do is talk about books. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do today. We're just gonna chill and just be comfortable. So here we are. How are your holidays? How are you doing?
Holidays were good. Hashtag stayed at home.
Yes,
Was in a onesie most of the time. And we're chilling. It's Saturday morning-ish here in Texas. So I'm in Texas, and excited to talk about Lagoon. This is the first book I read in 2021.
And I support that. I think that's great. I'm very, very happy. And I have to say, it's been hard for me to not be like, so did you love it? Because, and I think I might have maybe sideways asked you that once, but I have been holding my breath because I want you to love it. I want everybody to love the books.
Yes.
No pressure, obviously, but I'm very, very curious as to your thoughts. And I know that other people as well have been reading as well. So I'm going to let you know sort of how we're going to go about doing this for those of you who are here, and then we'll do some hellos. So if you are here and if you are watching live, please say hello in the comments, and we will show your comments, and there'll be lots of opportunities to interact, especially toward the end. So first, we're going to start with just chatting a little bit about the story. So what was Lagoon? What was Lagoon about? Who's Nnedi Okorafor? Like that kind of thing. So we're going to just sort of get that for people who have not had an opportunity to read the book but want to still be engaged in the conversation. And then we're going to get into the review. Right, so we're gonna dig deep. We're gonna dig deep. We're gonna see how we felt about it, what we thought about it, what it called up, and then at the end, we're gonna just talk a little bit about what is going to be coming next, because I know there have been a lot of questions. Like, Evelyn, are you starting a book club? What's going on? What are you reading next?
Can I call the hotline?
Yes. So we're going to answer all of those questions within reason at the end of the live show as well. So please stick to the end. All right. So let's just do some hellos. Why don't you say in the chat sort of where you're from, right? Where in the world are you watching this live show from? I've already seen Australia, which is kind of exciting. So who do we have? We have, and some of these people you might know. So of course, Tomi. Hi, Tomi. Welcome.
Hey, Tomi.
And Janae, hello, beautiful ladies. Hello. Emily, hi. You're here for that onesie life, aren't we all? That's the life we need to be living. Hello from Australia. And
we have Denver.
9493. Sorry?
We have Denver, Colorado.
Yes. So Okorafor 934. I'm loving your last name, especially today. And I have questions. Joanna Hartsey, hello. And hi, Regina Renee. You want a onesie? you can get one. I can give you recommendations. You have so many feelings.
Hey, we got, hold on, I have to do this. We got H-Town in the building. We got Dallas, Texas in the building. What's really good?
Can you please keep doing that? Who else?
Oh, we got Kampala, Uganda. My cousin's in the building. Wow.
Very, very exciting. Hi, Sherry. Okay. And special mention, we have Noria, who is in Nigeria right now. She is a content creator from Nigeria. So special hello to Noria. And please take the time to go to Chronicles of Noria and subscribe to her channel because her content is amazing. And yes. And the Bay Area, South Carolina.
Baltimore. Hey. I feel like a radio DJ.
That's exactly what you sound like, and I'm here for that. Cool. Lagos, Nigeria. The seat, the heart and soul of this story.
Mm-hmm.
And Sky Angels from the Netherlands. That's Sarah. Lunden. And oh, are you, Kiara? Are you here for an Internet Cousin Book Club? I have a feeling you are not alone. You are not alone.
H-Town.
Yes. And that is Tatiana. Sorry, I always do this. That is Brittany from Melanin Eclectic. And Brittany is the creatrix of the Melanin Eclectic Planner. So that is who that is. And come on. Cool. Yes. Okay. People are in their onesies. All right. That's cool.
We love it.
Your last name is Okafor. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure because I'm like, are you Dr. Purpose, cousin? Are you? So just to make sure. Okay, cool. All right. So welcome everybody to the live show. So first of all, before we get into this, I just want to talk a little bit about the fact that, science fiction it's related to the realities that we're living every day. And so it's important that when we read with purpose. So if you are unfamiliar with what's happening right now in Lagos, if you're unfamiliar with the End SARS movement, the movement to end police brutality, in particular in Lagos, then you should take the time to go and see what's actually happening. So if you use the hashtag End SARS, then you will find out more about SARS, more about the misuse and abuse of state power and authority in Nigeria. So that's something you need to think about, especially as we talk about a story that takes place and calls up a lot of the questions around the use and abuse of power in Nigeria, in Lagos in particular. All right, so I'm going to read the synopsis of Lagoon. In Lagos, 3 total strangers are drawn to Bar Beach: a marine biologist, a rapper famous throughout Africa, and a troubled soldier. They're all brought together when an alien ship lands in the ocean, which I have so many, causing a tidal wave that will transform them and change the world. But they were not the only witnesses. When word gets out on the internet that aliens have landed in the waters outside the world's 5th most populous city, Lagos begins to erupt. Soon, the military, religious leaders, thieves, and crackpots are trying to control the message on YouTube and on the streets. I love this. Meanwhile, Earth's superpowers are considering a preemptive nuclear launch to eradicate the intruders. All that stands between 17 million residents and anarchy and death are an alien ambassador and 3 altered humans who are now running a gauntlet of horrors within the city in order to save it. Lagoon is a thriller of unparalleled suspense that will force the reader to wonder, when aliens land, what will I do? So that's what the back of the book said. Mm-hmm. Back when it was published. But as we know, there is never a single story. And as we read different things. We pick up different things. Like, I wouldn't call this a thriller, for example, as a start, right? Mm-hmm. I consider this to be a work of African futurism. So yeah, what what's your story of the story? Like, how would you describe Lagoon?
Yeah, so I would say Lagoon is a multi-perspective story about the moment that aliens land in Lagos, in the ocean, on the coast of Lagos, Nigeria. And so I personally loved how it shifted perspectives. And so you got to see so many different points of view witness this same event, and how they describe it similarly and differently. Lagoon is about humans and the chaos that they enact on each other. It's about what do aliens think of our little planet. It's about it's about the struggles that people are going through, and how people need a savior, and how they can look to someone else to be their savior. Lagoon was
Okay, good. We got that out of the way. Thank you. And I think it's all of those things for me too. And I think reading it the second time for me, it became about a woman. Like it became about a woman who is a scientist.
Yeah.
Dealing with like domestic violence, dealing with a recently saved husband, trying to sort of navigate her role as scientist, as mother, as victim/survivor.
Yeah.
And also superhero. Right? And like a Black, and Nnedi Okorafor talks a lot about African futurism being an opportunity to ask the question, like, what if? So what if aliens landed in Lagos? What would that story actually look like? What would it be? And who do we tell that? She also talks about wanting to write stories where Black women win, right?
Yes.
Black women and Black girls win.
Yes.
And so knowing that as a backdrop, I started to read it from that one perspective of of the main one of the main characters, but like this woman, right? The book starts with her in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'll probably get into this later, but now that I know that about the author, that's evident. The role of women and Nnedi Okorafor's desire to have women win is evident in which alien was chosen to be the ambassador, and what she chose to look like in her human form. It was evident in Kola, the little daughter, being the camera girl throughout this like whole thing. So that's really dope. I like that.
Yeah. And okay, so let me just, because I have an overall reading experience question for you, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So let me just start with like overall, right? You kind of already said it. Like, was this a thumbs up for you, a halfway thumb, a thumbs down? Like, how did you overall feel about the book?
It was definitely a thumbs up for me. And I would say that the fact that I've been to Lagos a couple times definitely enriched my reading experience, because some of the places that they mentioned, that was mentioned in the book, I've been there. So I could visualize what it would have looked like. With kind of the post-alien chaos that went down. So it was definitely a thumbs up for me. Because of the way it was written, kind of like short chapters, changing perspectives pretty quickly, I found myself really wanting to like skip. Like my eyes were so excited, and I just want to like read as fast as I could to kind of like take in everything. And in that way, I think when I read it, I was like, man, I wish this was a show. I really wish this was a show.
Never know.
Yeah.
It might become one day. And I think
hopefully
we get to influence that. I love the way like Okorafor kind of shifted the prism a little bit, right? So
Mhm.
let's look at this story from the perspective of the elders. Let's look at it from the perspective of Ayodele, who's not really
Mhm.
like Ayodele, like just
Mhm.
that's how he appears, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at it from the perspective of these internet scammers, right? Let's look at it from
Mhm.
the perspective of a transgender woman who is also like a thief, right?
Mhm.
And like a gangster, right? So
Yeah.
what happens when we see this story from all these different, from a spider under the ground, right? That
Mhm.
is actually telling a story. So I noticed that this time too with those like short chapters, and sometimes it felt to me like I wasn't getting enough.
Mm.
Especially when there would be a question in one of those chapters, like the fourth wall was broken, and there was like, okay, well, what would you do? How would you respond?
Yeah.
Oh, you thought the aliens were the oldest, most powerful things here? Well, guess what? I've been here for
Right.
time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I thought that it was man, I really liked how, so it wasn't just all these different perspectives and different characters. You really saw how these characters were connected unbeknownst to them.
yeah,
So like um the soldier Agu, is, I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Hagu, yeah,
The soldier, the woman that he saved from his fellow soldiers, was the cousin or sister
yeah,
of one of the other groups that you see.
yeah,
It's so it all, everyone is connected whether or not they realized it. And
yeah.
it was almost like the anticipation of wondering whether these people will cross paths, or if fate or destiny or the story weaving would
Mm,
make them kind of diverge in the story. And so
yeah.
I personally love that.
I loved that. I loved that too. I loved that. Well, my first, so I developed the 7 calorie shell review system. So we're going to use that as we talk about the book so we can get all the sort of corners explored. So the first question is about the world building. And you've just started to talk about that a little bit. So what did you think of the world that Nnedi Okorafor offered to us?
I mean, I thought that it was, how do I even how do I even say it? Because I've been to Lagos, I appreciate that the world building wasn't too um I don't know if the word is obvious.
Yeah,
It was kind of subtle, even though Lagos is anything but subtle. It's
yeah,
not a subtle place at all. But I appreciate how it wasn't full of, maybe stereotypes is the word. And
hmm,
you just got a sense of like, okay, it's a very busy city, it's very populated. Um, there's many different kinds of people here. This is the transportation situation. So I liked the world was how the world was kind of built to include the city and the people, but I also loved how it was animals and it was ocean, fish in the ocean and creatures in the ocean. And because we're talking about, like an alien invasion, I kind of had to, for lack of a better word, check my human privilege and be like, oh yeah, we're not the only beings on this planet. Like there are millions of other organisms here that are just as affected in their own way from climate, from this alien invasion. And so I love the world building in that sense, that it was like a complete 360 humans aren't the only ones here type of world.
and also we're invaders.
Exactly.
We're not like we're also alien invaders, right?
Hmm.
Because the story starts from the perspective of this swordfish,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I love that. I
The-
loved that.
yeah, and the swordfish is like, yeah, there's this like dry something, right? Dry snake in the ocean,
Hmm.
and it's making the waters less sweet. I'm going to destroy that alien in the ocean. And when I do that, oh, wait, what's that bright pearlescent light in the ocean? And oh, why is the water so sweet? And oh, it's talking to me, right? So like,
Hmm.
you've got this animal that's encountering two alien species, one humanoid and the
Hmm.
other what we would call aliens, right? And
Yeah.
so like that like who's alien, the layers of alien in this
Hmm.
are incredible. And then you've got the gods, right?
Yes.
Like, I just love, I'm like, oh, Mommy Watts is just like walking around. I was like, do you mean to tell me that like Mommy Wata just disappeared this like Christian preacher who's
Yep.
also very, very violent and very misogynist, right? She just like whined her waist and like plucked him, and we never heard from him again. I'm like, there's so many people that need to be treated like that. Right? So, so all of these connections between like who's alien, who's not alien, like that I really loved. And I love that she spent time underwater too. Like, it wasn't just from the perspective of people on land, but a lot of time was spent describing being underwater, being able to function under like the various different ways that human beings can exist underwater, right?
Yes. So, and even when you get to the part of the book where, the aliens have, cleaned up the water and made it the best environment for the things that live in the water, which means it's damaging to us. It means that we can't enter the water because it's not a suitable environment. Stay in your lane, stay on land, and leave the clean, sweet water to the people, to the people who desire it, and that's their home,
Yeah. Characters. So tell me about the characters, in particular, actually, before we do that, while you think about that, let's see what other folks have to say, because I know that we've seen some comments. So, and also, for those of you who are watching, what did you think of the world building, and what did you think of the characters? We'll put your comments up as well. Okay, so you've got a bunch of different shout outs. Yes. Okay. Can I say I effing love this book? Can I swear here? Yes. Yes, you can. I mean, might affect my channel, but it's so good. You loved it. You're buying this book. Please do buy this book. It's a very, very good book. You can imagine the mental imagery for you having been there. Great visuals. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful visuals. I've never been to Lagos. And I want to when we can actually like travel. But yeah. You love the different perspectives. You read via audiobook, cranked up the speed from Act 2 on. Yeah, it was hard to keep it at a reasonable pace. But I read the audio. I did a hybrid read, so I read the book, the text, and also listened. And for those of you who are familiar with Nigerian accents, I'm wondering what you think of the narration. But I thought it was I thought it was very good. You thought it could be a show, but it was more on track and less meandering than the shows you've watched. Yep. Recently. Yes, please do reread the book. It was wonderful. You had to resist 2x speed. Got you. Can't wait to read this book now. Oh, hi, Nadia. Nadia is a children's book author living in Toronto and a childhood friend of mine. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Also like an adult friend of mine, but we met in elementary school. You bring this book alive. I also love anything written by Nnedi Okorafor. Cool. You have to find, yes, you do. Yes, Tisha. You have to find time to read.
It goes by quick. It goes by quick. So
many parallels with Uganda, which only heightened my affinity for the book. I imagine it hits even different if you're from Lagos. It's the water world
for me. Truly.
When I first heard about Lagoon, because I keep on thinking Lagos, but Lagoon, I thought it was a mermaid story. So before I'd read anything about it, I was like, oh, there's a woman in the water. She's obviously a mermaid. Yeah. And eventually we kind of get there, but it was so much more than that. The way they talked about the intelligence of the octopus. Yes. And in fact, like Nnedi Okorafor talks a lot about octopi, and what are they? Cephalopods? Cephalopods, yeah. And they show up in many of her books. Like they show up in the Binti trilogy as well, because they are as intelligent as human beings, but their intelligence is different. Like the way that they think, the way that they create concepts and stuff is different from human beings, but the intelligence level is on par. And so she finds that an interesting metaphor for African science fiction, that it's on par, maybe even superior than the traditional science fiction, Eurocentric science fiction. And it's much older, right? Because African science fiction draws from the ancient knowledge. So yeah. Okay, we're going to stop here for a minute. And my question was characters. So who were your favorite characters? Like, who would you want to be friends with or neighbors with? Like, who would you want in your real life from that book?
I mean, I loved Adaora, like the main marine biologist character, just because she's a scientist, and like I've never met a Black marine biologist, you know what I mean? So like that's exciting to me. Who else? I mean, I liked the relationship between Kola, Adaora's little daughter, and Ayodele, the alien ambassador. The curiosity, the fact that the alien ambassador wasn't like annoyed with this little girl. She used her for a purpose. Like, this is your moment, you know, pick up the camera, place it on me, answered all her questions. Yeah, and she was, I feel like in many cultures, kids are, you know, you need to be seen, not heard. And the fact that Kola was given such an important duty, or it's such an important job, and that her curiosity was never, by the right people, was never like punished. I really loved that. So I liked Kola. And I also I like, because I was envisioning this as a show. So I was like, I would love to see a little Black girl, camera girl.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
100%. And I feel like, and we'll get to themes in a second, but so Ayodele and the aliens, knowing that there's now like different groups of aliens,
right?
But Ayodele's people, they're about change, right? So she talks about that a lot. Like, we are change, we bring change. And so I feel like the relationship between her and Kola was showing us a change, another option for how to treat African girls and their relationship to technology, right? To allow them to be, as you said, curious, to allow them to hold the technology, to learn, to teach them. Because it wasn't like, get your hands off this thing. Like, I believe in your capacity to be able to operate this.
Yeah.
Like, you have what you need in order to shape the use of this technology in this particular moment. I also, anyway, that's, do you have other thoughts about characters?
The character I was the most fascinated by and wanted to learn more about, like, her and the reason she did the things she did was, dang, what was her name?
I always forget character names.
She was the one who ended up writing that sign and putting it on her chest, like, repent, you know, the people are coming. She turned Fisayo, yes. So she kind of turned into a fanatic. And so I was very fascinated by and interested in her story, because she had so many dreams for her life, and like life just never let up on her. And so it's like, she's someone I wanted to see win. And in a way, I guess she did, but not before she made some choices that I was like, whoa, like, these are intense. This is an intense left from where you previously stood. So I can't say that she was my favorite character, but she was someone that every time her perspective was the main perspective, I was super interested in it and wanted her to win. Yeah.
I want to talk about Black Nexus. So Black Nexus is this, like, you know, I love also another thing that comes up in a lot of Okorafor's work is everybody's smart. Everybody's smart in some way, right? And often people are like, you know, smart in the, like, I'm in university, I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist, right? Even the scammers were like engineers and in med school and all of that, right? Like, she was like, let me just shake up who
Yeah.
you think we are, right? We're all brilliant. We're very, very technologically advanced, right? Out of ingenuity and creativity and all of those other things. So Black Nexus is a LGBT on-campus LGBT group of Nigerian men, non-binary people, women, some gay, well, all queer in some way, some gay, some straight, some trans, some non-binary, some cis. And I remember when I first read that, I was just like, first of all, I love you, Dr. Okorafor. Thank you. Thank you for like acknowledging that there are African queer people.
Yes.
And thank you for like giving us something, like giving us the tension, giving us the fear, giving us the fabulousness, like
yes,
the signs and the like, oh, just that. I really appreciated that, because that was one of the first times that I've seen like you know, an African writer who's heterosexual center the perspectives of queer people, and not for only 1 second, but also to do it realistically, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if a group of like transgender young people showed up in the middle of like a protest in Lagos? I doubt that they would be given like flowers and fans, right? Like, you know, stuff would happen, right? And so she didn't sort of walk away from that. It wasn't utopia, right? Because why would it be? It's not a utopic story. Yeah. But yeah, I was really curious about Black Nexus. Anyway, what did you think of that?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you don't even realize what you are missing until you finally read it or you know, see it in the story. And so what I loved was the descriptions of people and how those descriptions held up no matter whose perspective it was. So, you know, someone would describe one of them as the beautiful man in girls' clothing, right? Still beautiful, maybe not the most PC description, but you know, you can see how this person's light is still shining no matter whose perspective, who's watching them. You know what I mean? And I also loved the fact that that dynamic was included. The dynamic of, you know, these aliens have said they're going to bring change. Here are people who also will bring change. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're going to come and we're going to interact with these aliens and finally show people, because we're the aliens of our communities, you know what I mean? And we're going to come with our flags and our banners, terrified. Half the club was terrified. And we're going to come and we are going to be part of this change. And so I loved that. I need, if it's a show, I need a spinoff. You know what I mean?
Yes. That's Black Nexus.
Yes. Yeah. Great name too. My God.
It's an amazing name. And I also, like, this is just a comment on Okorafor's writing, the sarcasm, the humor, right? When she's like, and Rome is there for himself, or I think his pronoun is him. Rome is here for himself. But I really appreciate what you had to say about them being like, them sort of shining through no matter which perspective you saw. And one of the beauties of this particular story, and because when you have like invasion, like first, there are all these different like subgenres in alien invasion science fiction. Like, this is a first contact story, right? This is a like invasion story. This is whatever. This is the colonization part, right? Whatever, right? And she throws all of that away, and you know, she's like, no, we have first contact. We also have second contact. We also have invasion. Right. And then we also have like some kind of resolution, something here, right?
Yeah.
And all of this in the context of environmental degradation, all of this in the context of like this like Christian and Muslim tension, right? All of this in the context of homophobia and transphobia, lack of resources, like the lights. We don't know if the internet's going to keep on working. Like, we don't know if the lights, we don't know where the water, what's, you know, like all of this real life stuff, right? She gives it all to us. So why wouldn't we have crowds, and there's so many crowd scenes
Yeah.
in the story, right? Why wouldn't we have these crowds where everybody who's part of Nigerian society, everybody who's part of Lagos, right, is here? I want to talk a little bit about disability representation, because that's something that I know I want to be better at reading for and thinking about. And I want to talk about the boy, right? The boy who's there throughout the story for the most part. And I really appreciated that, even though he seemed to be neurodivergent in some way, she doesn't name what's happening with him. She simply describes the way that he perceives. And I was like, I really enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
Right? I enjoyed the way that she said, like, he doesn't have words, but he knows that if he's near Ayodele, he will be able to make a sound. He will be able to speak. And he knows that he saw something coming out of the ocean, right? And Ayodele, like, they were very careful about who would see them when, who they would reveal themselves to. So it's very interesting to see this little boy encountering all of this. And his story wasn't a joyful story, for the most part. What did you think of him?
I always what I loved about this book was, like you said, who are the chosen ones? Whose perspectives do we see, and what do we learn about the story unfolding through them? And so, kind of like what I was talking about with Kola, this boy who's unnamed because no adult ever named him, right? He's abused and forgotten, and he was given a voice, and that voice might sound different because he couldn't speak the way we can, but we can still see his thoughts, and he has thoughts, and he is a part of our world. And when I think the way it was written was when he heard the first sonic boom, or felt the first sonic boom, he knew things were going to change. And the fact that he's a child, I envisioned him to be like 7, right? Yeah. So the fact that this like 7-year-old or younger knows that like this means something, was very important. I'm always a fan of giving a voice to children, or letting children have their voice. It's a shame that, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, we're here.
Okay. It's a shame that he was killed. But I think the way it was written in the book is that he he became the beacon, because these things are being posted on YouTube. So this story takes place in like 2009 or something, so it's like these things are being posted on YouTube, and the world can now rally around this cause because of this boy. And I don't know, it was tragic, but it was also, I also felt good about children not being forgotten. So yeah.
And there's a way you can't look away, right? You can't look away. And when you think about how children with disabilities are treated, when they're abandoned by their families, right? Like, you can't look away from that. And Okorafor doesn't look away in any of her writing, right? She doesn't look away. And so that was a difficult moment for me. But I think when you look at all of if you look at the ways that Black people die in mainstream horror, science fiction, fantasy, it's usually just killable bodies, right? No thoughtfulness about
you
what
didn't know
we
anything
learn,
about them.
right? And you can't get anything you don't see the value of their lives when that gets written, right? And I feel like in this particular story, this we saw the value of this boy's life, and the tragedy of this boy was a loss that the reader was able to grieve. Like, I was able to grieve that loss. And I feel like, if you're going to write about loss, if you're going to write about death, give your reader the opportunity to see the value of this life, to see the loss of the life, and to grieve the loss, to see the absence of this character as the plot unfolds. And I felt the absence of that boy as the plot unfolded, right? And I think that was masterfully done by Okorafor. So thoughts. So the enlightenment of the bat.
Ooh.
And the thoughts of the tarantula crossing the road really got me. I'm just going to take a sip to that.
And that, I mean, Stitch Witch reading, that was what I really loved about the book. The fact that it's not just about us as humanoid beings, you know, it's about the animals, and it's about other senses. I'm in the middle of reading this other book called How to Disappear, and it's about it's not as alarming as it sounds, but it's about perspective and how other animals have senses that we don't have. And so that's why I really loved the bat and the tarantula, the sense of touch, the sense of feeling the distance of something through echolocation. I loved how it kind of made the world, which is this world that we live in, it made me realize just how like lush and full it is, you know? It's not, even when we're alone, we're not alone, because there's a spider somewhere who has their own consciousness.
And when the spider like presses down on the bubble that Agu and Anthony, oh my gosh, can we talk about Anthony Decrez? I thought about you, actually. I thought about you when I read this character, because I felt like you would just be hollering and cackling with this particular character. What did you think about Anthony Decrez?
I love an introvert artist. I love an artist who's like, day craze, I gotta go for a smoke break, you know, like I gotta leave my own after party. So I loved Anthony Decrez. I loved learning about his powers,
the rhythm,
and how it kind of called back to, if it weren't for his powers, he might have had the same fate as the boy with no name, because people accused his mom of being a witch, and thus they thought he was a witch. And, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that he had these forces, he had the rhythm, he might have been homeless and alone. But he was able to protect himself and his siblings. So yeah, I love Anthony Decrez.
He was. And did you listen to the audiobook?
I didn't.
Okay, so if you're ever up for a reread, I would commend it to you, because there's so much humor in his character, but also how people were responding to him. Like, there are a couple of points in the book where like Anthony, Agu, and Adara, is that Adara, would bump into like a soldier or whatever, and the soldier would be like, you know, blah 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 blah, stay where you are, and they'd be like, hey, Anthony Decrez, like they would just be like, oh, I have all your albums, and I'd be like, shut up, right? Like we're in the middle of an invasion. So I love that, because I can totally see people responding in that way, just being like, hold on, let's take a selfie. Okay, cool. Okay, back to like invasion, survival, right? So I loved that. I loved how he was so transparent and kind, you know, with his own power, like his ability to self-reflect. And I'm like, okay, so this is a Ghanaian hip-hop artist traveling to do a concert in Lagos, who has superpowers, right? Who uses those, who knows that his superpowers could destroy the strongest of all of them, right? Can destroy. And what does he choose to do? He chooses to be a hip hop artist. He chooses an American female protege, right? The one who opens for him. And he's very careful, right? And I was like, you know what? That I also appreciated, because what do we usually see when we have hip hop artists written into science? If we ever have hip hop artists written into science fiction fan, let's just start there. Or when they are they portrayed as kind, thoughtful heroes,
sensitive to the world around them and what other people are feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, not impulsive. Like he was not impulsive. And in control, right?
Yeah.
Of his power. And I was just like, this is amazing. The artist as superhero, the hip hop artist, the urban artist as superhero, who is working with like his knowledge and his powers on par with science, which is on par with ancient knowledge, which is on par with all of these other things, or maybe even superior. And the fact that he was chosen by the elders so far back was also really fascinating for me. Yeah. So you thought the narrators were great, but yeah, I wonder what Nigerians think of the narrators.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were great, but I mean, I'm from Toronto. I feel like Okorafor gave just enough info in regards to world building, and I love that it was somewhat minimal and largely about the reactions of the humans. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that, because we don't, and even the scene where the aliens appear to the president as aliens from Star Wars, because that's what he needed. Like he needed to see the Star Wars aliens. We're like, okay, cool. We'll give you that. Like, here we are. We're green, got long arms. Here, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
This is what you got. Nnedi Okorafor is such an etymologist. I love seeing her bug and animal photos on Twitter. Yes. Yeah, she does. She will tweet like praying mantises and be like, did you know? Like it's and jellyfish and stuff like that. Binti is one of my fave novels, and reading Lagoon this week did not disappoint. Happy to hear that. Cola was great. Watching from Florida. Thanks for the book, love. Hello. Shuri effect. Yes. Fashai. Okay. I like the part when she went into the ocean to be taken by the alien and her wig was snatched. Yes. I love that too. Yeah. Oh, and can we just, what I loved about her character too, so she's a nurse, I think was he a nurse by day?
She went to nursing school, I think, but something happened, and so like sex work was what she was doing at the moment.
Yeah. And she and also, so again, right? Again, taking a profession, because sex work is one of the oldest professions. It's literally biblical. So like we've got this old profession, and we have this woman performing that profession, and she's practicing, and she's just like, yeah, I am doing this because this is what's accessible to me. I don't particularly like it. I'm strategic about it. So when she talked about like the afternoon Johns versus the evening Johns, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's an intelligent woman in control of her body, making her own choices, has autonomy in this particular way, and is making a choice, right? And like a lot of people, doesn't like her job. And like a lot of people is still in it because that's a choice that she's making. And so giving her that story, right? So again, when was the last time you read science fiction and fantasy where part of the story is told from the perspective of a Nigerian sex worker who interfaces with like alien creatures, right? Like how, like when have we read that? And do we need to see it? And I say yes. Yes, we do. So yeah, I loved when her wig was snatched, literally. It was perfect. All the wigs flying. Yeah, there are lots of wigs. Lots of wigs. And the food, I loved the descriptions of the meals.
Oh yes.
Wow. Okay, so Noria, yep. Her representation of queer Nigerians is organic and basically a pointed way of using art to show homophobic Nigerians that queer Nigerians exist. Queer Africans exist. Thank you, Noria. Noria is the word on Lagos, on Nigeria, on writing and authenticity. So thank you for that. For those who entered the show late, Noria is a booktuber. Her channel is called Chronicles of Noria. She is Nigerian. You should check out her channel and subscribe to it. Very artistically shown. Why you're vegan, or at least mostly. Yeah, we know you cheat on them desserts, Nadia. Okay, Vegans United. Excellent. Is this the one where the road was sentient? Yes.
Yes.
So another thing, like making inanimate objects, right? And like people talk, I've never been to Lagos, I've never been to Nigeria, but I know that people talk about them highways, right? The expressways as being death traps, and traffic, right?
Yeah.
So traffic, cars packed with people, right? And roads that swallow people up, right? And so Okorafor's like, how about I just give that back to you? How about that? What did you think of that?
I mean, I thought it really took me back to explaining modern things as folklore. And it's like, you know, us humans, we would describe it as like a car accident. But if we were to have it be like a parable, it is the road is a bone collector. You know, that's what's happening. And I don't know, it was just it was beautiful. It was beautifully done. It was another way of showing that everything is kind of connected, and like even the things that even when we build on top of things, the ground itself knows that something was built on top of it. Yeah, so I loved it.
Yeah. Okay. Janae and Nadia are becoming friends in real time. I love this. Okay. You guys talk about your vegan books. All right. So now my question is about like the themes, right? So for you, what were the big themes that came out for you? I mean, we've talked about a couple of them. So any ones that you haven't talked about that you want to just put out?
Definitely the role of Christianity and religion, fanaticism and evangelicalism, and how, just that was a theme, and how it's kind of interwoven with abuse and taking advantage of people. Definitely the themes of, and we touched on this in our conversations before, the theme of science and magic not being different, or, you know, science is not somehow more modern than ancient wisdom. It's the same.
Yeah.
So those themes were all up and through. I loved the theme of shape-shifting, and how shape-shifting, we might see it, some people might see it as a modern alien thing, but in the book, I think it was Adaora, when she realized that the aliens were shapeshifters, she was like, I wish my grandma could have seen this, right? Because my grandma swore up and down there were shapeshifters in her day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that might be called spirituality, but then now it's science, you know? So like, what is the line between those two? So I thought that was a really big theme in the book.
Can we pause?
Yeah.
Because you're giving us a word. And I want to pause here because that theme is so important, and it's so profound, right? Because Africa and its descendants, right, and its diasporas, and as Black folks, right, we get associated, when you look at the dichotomy, we get associated with like the ancient, the primitive, and all of that stuff, right? And then like science, the West, the light, you know, gets presented in that particular way. And even and not only that, not only Black and white, but also Black Westerners get presented as the ones who are technologically advanced and so on, and continental Africans get presented as those who have not yet engaged in technology and so on. And that's completely wrong. In fact, it's probably opposite, because I remember back in a decade seeing, have you ever seen this picture? I hope that you did. It's this Black young man somewhere on the continent of Africa with a cell phone, like a Motorola flip phone, and like tied to the side of his head. Have you ever seen it?
I never saw it.
So I have to find it. It's a picture from, it has to be either like the 80s or 90s. And it came out in a meme where, like, you know, at the time, everybody thought this person was crazy, right? Because he was just like, look, I need my hands to do a thing. I also need my phone to do a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tie my phone to my forehead so that I can ride my bicycle in the streets of wherever this was in Africa. And at the time, it was like, what an idiot, right?
Right.
5 years later, what are we seeing? We're seeing the little things that you can stick in your ear, and you're seeing little this, and you're seeing little that, right? And it's like, no, like inventions have, like, they're born from things like necessity and knowledge and wisdom and technology, right? So I feel like when you say that the story, you know, called into question, like, you know, what is the spiritual, what is the ancestral, what's the folklore, and then what's the science, and are they really that different?
Yeah.
That is at the heart of Okorafor's writing. Like, everything that she's written is like, is this ancient? Is this old? Is this new? Is that even a useful way to categorize things?
And even when you think of like Africa in general being mobile first, so they skipped landlines, you know what I mean? So in that way, they are ahead of the curve, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the West, folks are just now, in the past couple years, you know, we're taking mobile this and mobile that, but mobile before Venmo, please, on the continent, people was Venmoing before Venmo existed. Mobile banking and mobile first, because it was just a different infrastructure. And so I loved how technology was used in the book. That was another theme. What else?
Change. You know, and this idea, like, you know, I feel like in white Western sci-fi, and add all the things like male, patriarchal, all that stuff, sci-fi, we've got aliens who are coming to Earth to like colonize, because that was as far as the like white science fiction imagination could go, right? Because it's always about colonization. So like, we're smarter, better, have better technology, and we're going to colonize your asses. You screwed up your Earth, we're colonizing you. You have nothing to say about it, right? And I feel like Black writers who take up this, what will happen, because it's going to happen. So, because we're not the only ones in the galaxy, we already know that, in the galaxies, right? So when there's contact, what's that going to look like? What can we actually imagine? And this idea that the elders give what's wanted and what's needed, like there's an exchange here, right? Like Ayodele was an ambassador to negotiate a relationship, right? And that wasn't even the first relationship, was the marine creatures, right? It's like, yo, swordfish, what do you want? Okay, I want to be metal, I want to be real big, I want to be real fast, right? I want to be all those things. Are like, cool. You can become this. We'll call you monster, because this, you know, the swordfish is defending its territory, right? So I want to defend my territory better. I don't want to die and reincarnate all the time. I want to be big and scary, and I want to be joyful about it, because I want to screw all those pipelines, right? So what did you think about this idea of change and the aliens coming with offerings in exchange for something?
I mean, it was beautiful, you know? So like, imagine that's just not part of the alien agenda that we see in other types of media. The other being saying, well, what do you want? And anytime someone in the book died, right? They didn't really die. They were just given what they wanted, right? So Fisayo, you know, she wanted to be taken into the ocean. She wanted something different for her life. And so the way it was described in the book was that she like stretched like a photo zooming in and just like popped, and she like disappeared. And to us, that's horrifying. But the aliens were just like, well, that's what she wanted. And she was given what she wanted. She was given that peace that, you know, wherever she is, you know, in the ether, that is what she wanted. And so I really liked how that was done in the book. That idea of like, what are the actual desires of your heart?
Yeah.
We're just here to give them to you because we have the technology. You know, do you want to be a mermaid, Adora? Okay, well, I mean, here you go. So
And like, and what kind of like, don't you want to be able to breathe underwater and on land? Like isn't like you're a marine biologist, like you have stuff to do. You don't want to just live in the ocean. You want to be able to do both. Isn't that the thing? Is that what you want? And so that I love Black Mermaids. So like that's any Black Mermaid story because it's important to me. And so I love that twist on it. And also, like, as a person, like, I have Trinidadian heritage, and it's not unusual to hear this question, like, be careful what you ask for, right? And, like, what are your wants? Are you wanting the right things, right? Is what you want really what you need, right? And we see that with Mami Wata, right? When Mami Wata says to Father Okay, and also, Father Okay, and the name Father Okay, like okay, right? So Father Okay, when she's like, "Do you want to come with me?" And he's like, "Shit, yeah, right." I don't know who or what you are, but look at those breasts in that tight shirt. Of course, I want to come with you. She's like, "Cool,
okay,
let's do this." So anyway, loved all of that. Time check. We're an hour in. We're still, do you have like when are you
we here, man.
We're
here.
Okay, good. All right, because we're halfway through. And I told you this would happen. I was like, we're gonna get into it.
Just have a key. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see some more comments. Yes, Nadia and Janae are making friends. That's very good. Yes, explaining modern things as folklore, Tomi. Yeah, I appreciate that insight as well. And then flipping it too, right? Folklore as modern, because when folklore was folklore, like in its time, it's modern, right? In its time. So when we like hear about whatever it is that's happening, like the witch in the woods, that at that time it's technology, right? It only becomes content as time goes forward, right?
Yes.
Definitely inspires. Joyfinity, yes, we need you to write. Okay, yes, it is time for you to write again, and then contact me when you publish so we can talk about it. So yes. So Evelyn, to you, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie writes about that in Purple Hibiscus, but it's not Afrofuturist. So you're getting a book recommendation for religious abuses, if that is something that's of interest to you. For more reading. And Binti, yes, it is Charlotte. Yes, you will need to read Binti soon. I love telling people what to read. Please do Binti. It's amazing. And I would suggest that before anybody who hasn't read Nnedi Okorafor yet, Nnedi Okorafor has a 9-minute TED Talk on YouTube. Please listen to it. She talks about the Binti trilogy and she talks about Lagoon. We're not showing it on here because it's TED Talks material and content, but you can definitely check it out because it tells you a little bit about her background, why she writes, and so on. And Tati, yes. So I'm an effing shapeshifter sticker. So that's what I was doing when I wasn't like paying as much.
We love it.
So Melanin Eclectic came up with these stickers. I am a fucking shapeshifter, and she has them in gold, she has them in rose gold, in like a turquoise foil and silver. And so you can get them at her website. I stand, like, I love Melanin Eclectic. Like I have lots of her stuff. So yes, go and get those stickers and you can get Melanin Eclectic.
Speaking of shape-shifting, am I echoing, by the way?
No.
Okay. Speaking of shape-shifting, I loved how the sound of shape-shifting was described.
Yeah, marbles.
As like metal on glass.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just like loved that.
Yeah, and also like in terms of sounds and how they're described, there's also like the booms. So sometimes boom had a G in front of it, right? And I was just like, Why wouldn't you just have boom, like BOOM? Why would you have
Mhm.
GBOOM? And I was like, oh, right. That's why you would do it. Because, like, number one, we don't necessarily see G's in front of B's a lot, right? But also, it's like boom isn't the only way that we hear sound, and why shouldn't it be self-evident that we would hear that? Like, even
Yeah.
in Nnedi Okorafor wrote a Black Panther comic, and
Mhm.
every time there's like a big monster that's, you know, coming into Wakanda and whatever, the sound that it makes is goro 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 goro. So
Oh,
GORO. That's the sound, right? It's
yeah.
not like bam, punch, boom,
Pow!
pow. No, it's like goro 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 goro. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like
It's
even
in the
in the,
language. Yeah.
yes, language and dexterity, and yes, like she, every opportunity there is to like change the center, right, to shift
Mhm.
the center, she takes it, and love it. um who gets to be perceived as advanced and developing, yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And even like at the in the resolution of the story, right,
Mhm.
where the president is, I loved that chapter where the president talks about what he'd been trying to do in Nigeria, and
Mhm.
how every time he thought he was making some sort of advancement, somebody would come up and try and take advantage of that for their own needs. And
Personal
now, sorry?
for their own personal gain. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciated that. I also like reading it in 2020, knowing the actions that the Nigerian president has taken to shut down, you know, protests about SARS and so on. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I do appreciate seeing, you know, an African future where there is a male president who's like, I understand that corruption has to end. Like, I really appreciated that. There was a part of me that's like, reading it today, I'm like, this really feels like fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, go buy stickers. You need to read this book. Indeed you do need to reread. Yes, yeah, Who Fears Death is wonderful as well. Yeah, check out the TED Talk, it's great. Your brother got you Who Fears Death and you're so excited to start. Yes, it's very, very good. The Shadow Shaper series, if you're interested in YA books about teenage shapeshifters. So that's Danielle Jose Older, which, yeah, I mean, that's a very good one as well, to check it out. So people are interested in young adult fiction. Danielle Jose Older, he's on my shelves like up there, so I'm not going to go and get him. But the Shadow Shaper series is Latinx, written from the perspective of an Afro Latinx young woman living in an urban environment. Yeah, so check that out. GB is a harder, more guttural sound.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Um, yes, you got your copy autographed by Nnedi Okorafor and gifted to someone. Cool. All right. So next question is about like, so how blackety black was it for you? You, one of the things that you wanted was for everybody to be black, and so how did you feel about that?
check. Um,
Okay.
I liked how there were different kinds of black. So there's
Yeah.
Anthony Day Craze. His
Yeah.
protege is I think she's half Black American, half Nigerian,
Yeah.
from Atlanta. Um, and so I liked how her perspective was included, and I resonated with this feeling of like, I want to see what it's like, you know what I mean? I want to, you know, see for myself the vibes and the energy that's calling me there. And then there were some black kids in, where were they? It was like
Chicago.
They were in Chicago. Yeah. There were some just like college kids, some black kids, who were just watching this on YouTube. Like, hey, you seen this? Like, this is crazy. And just their conversation of like, do you think this is fake? And they're like, nah, they casted black people. That would never happen. You know what I mean? Like, obviously this is real. Because Hollywood would never cast all black people. And so, yeah, as far as being blackity black, I enjoyed. It was a check mark for me.
I really loved. So he stood up straight and stamped a Timberland boot on the floor, not just any boot, because we need to know that he had some. The kid dying in the street, dying, man. You see him die. People there were tweeting and posting claims about seeing aliens and shit. Folks reporting fear and crazy ass riots. This X-Men in the ocean craziness. You think this is some Orwellian shit? Jordan asked. Like that War of the Worlds radio broadcast back in the day that caused all that panic. You think Nigerians are that gullible in this day and age? And look at the stars of the show. They black. Even the heroes are black. You think they're going to spend their money, put something together that looks this real and actually allow black folks to star in it, real Africans, and then set it in Africa? He guffawed with glee and shook his head. Nah, man, not going to happen. This shit real. That's a more likely scenario. And I feel like that was the way that she ended with that. Like, she's like, I'm going to give you a little bit of US, a little bit of American stuff here, right? And because she called up, she didn't get into it, but she called up that relationship between, like, you know, Nigerians and the African and the African diaspora in the US, right? Like, how is Africa perceived? And it's not like she's not giving us this utopia where, like, you know, Americans are not suspicious of what comes out of Nigerian YouTube, right? Like, she's not giving us that. She's giving us what would likely happen. That skepticism.
Yeah.
And then the analysis. And also, like, those three kids college kids were studying. They're like, we use this room to study because we want to be ahead. So we know we need to be twice as smart. So we're going to make sure we read everything before the semester starts. So again, like, really disrupting that notion of black, lack of intelligence, right? And lack of excellence. Like, everybody in this story is like black and excellent. Like, even the thieves and the gangsters are all like black and excellent. So yeah. So, is there anything else before we get into the next, like, this hashtag read a damn book, 100% guaranteed situation? Is there anything else you want to mention about the book?
What I loved, and these are the pages that, like, I bookmarked, I just liked the descriptions of when someone had witnessed something that their mind couldn't handle. The language that was used was like, she felt her mind break, or like, I don't know. I just liked how Nnedi Okorafor attempted to explain what it feels like to come in contact with something unexplainable.
Yeah.
And so that really put me in the world of, like, okay, if they touch down in the Gulf of Mexico and, you know, they make their way through Texas, what would it feel like to see these things that I can't explain? Would my mind break? Would, you know, how would I react? And so I just loved that language. Yeah.
And then what happens right after that? Like, what happens right after the mind-blowing moment? Because if you, like, at one point, Europeans had that experience when they saw African peoples, right? Which is like, whoa, their bodies do that, right? Their hips do that. Oh, their villages look like that, whatever. And then the next thought was, let's control it. Let's control it.
Right.
You know, and so this, you know, at the back of the question is like, when aliens land, what will I do? And, you know, what happens after the mind is blown, right? So different people did different things, you know. The Father Okay, like, what did he do?
Oh God. And I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about of, it might have been, you know, specific to Lagos, or, you know, the fact that this is the city that was chosen, but different perspectives saw this aliens landing as a savior of some sort.
Yeah.
one group of people wanted to kidnap the aliens so that they could print money. So all their financial troubles would be gone. You know, one group of people, the Black Nexus Club, wanted to meet the aliens so that they could, you know, assure their safety as queer kids, you know, and usher in this revolution. So everyone was kind of looking to these people coming down, whether you were a scientist, whether you were spiritual, or, you know, some mix of the two, or neither, or none of those. They were looking for some sort of a way to get out of their situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I loved this. So people are saying that they read her blog post. So yeah, Who Fears Death and the Development. So there is going to be an HBO series. So people, if you want to get into Okorafor, this is a really good time to do so. Yes, very exciting. Okay, so anything else? You said you had earmarked some pages. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
It was mainly just the descriptions of people's mind being blown that were pretty cool to me.
Yes.
And also just like, you know, how would you explain to someone that you went inside the internet? You know what I mean? Like, how do you even explain that? Yeah, that's it. I just love those kind of descriptions because it's so relatable. It's like I saw what I saw. I saw someone go
Yeah.
inside the computer. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I also liked that computer scene with the young man. I don't remember where he was from, but he would go to Lagos to visit his uncles and cousins.
Yeah.
And when he did that, he would like do a scam.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, these gullible white women, they believe that just because they're white, you know, a famous Nollywood filmmaker is going to fall in love with them sight unseen. Like that reeks of white privilege. And he's like, I'm fine collecting on that. Like, and so it was really, that was pretty cool. And then like the healing that comes after that, right? The like, okay, where he says like he has his redemption arc, right? Like I'm not gonna do this anymore because I understand that I'm better than that, and I love Lagos, I love Nigeria. Which there's so much love for Lagos and so much love for Nigeria in her writing. I really appreciate that. Okay, so moving on to the hashtag Read a Damn Book. So as you will recall, the Read a Damn Book hotline that was a product of your imagination had 100% guarantee.
Yes.
So the whole point was to make sure that you were fully 100% satisfied. So there were 10 criteria that you had. So we'll just do like the 10 points, yes, no. Let's see if we got, you know, how close we got to that. So you wanted the length to be more than YA self-help and less than the Bible.
It was a perfect length.
Great. You wanted to escape reality.
Oh, escape that.
Cool. Aliens anywhere.
Hey.
Okay. Everybody black.
Yep.
Okay. Sci-fi fantasy.
Oh, yes.
Cool with that one. And you wanted it to take place. You wanted to take place on the African continent.
Yes.
Got that. Now, degree of historical elements. You didn't want to have to read a second book to understand what was happening in the main book. Did we get that?
Yes, I felt like I already had a general knowledge of like northern Nigeria versus the rest of Nigeria, Christian versus Muslim. I knew all of that stuff already.
Okay. And you wanted more intense world building. Like you were cool with it being intense. Did it feel intense for you?
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then diversity of characters. We already talked about that. You felt good about that?
Yeah.
And then diversity of languages, you wanted no translation. You just wanted the language to land and it to be self-evident.
Yes, there was a lot of pidgin English in the book. And I do feel I would love to know what people who have never heard pidgin English or Creole of any kind, how the book read for them, but it read kind of seamlessly for me because I was used to hearing that from, you know, people I know, and just even being in Nigeria, even reading like the cadence and the, you know, the sing-songiness of some sentences. So it was easy for me to understand. And then when I got to the end, I realized there was a glossary of terms. So I was like, oh, that's helpful. But it was a 10 out of 10. I like that.
Yay! So you got 10 out of 10. Cool. All right. So some of the questions that have come from the comment section on your channel and also on the socials, there are 2 questions that we've been getting. The first question is, Evelyn, are you starting a book club? So I think we need to like just answer that once and for all. So
Yeah.
are we starting a book club? Is that a thing that's happening?
Well, I believe in the spirit of collaboration. I don't think youtube.com/Evelyn from the internet needs to be the location for all things at all times. So I do think it would be dope to have a Onyx Pages Evelyn from the Internet's Read a Damn Book Club of some sort via your channel.
So we're gonna the announcement is that hashtag Read a Damn Book is going to be a thing. Now, in terms of how it's gonna work, it's kind of going to be like, it's going to operate similar to how we're doing it right now. So book clubs can kind of be like a little bit rigid and so on. So what's going to happen is there will be collaborations between Evelyn and myself in 2021. This is the first. We will be doing 4 for the year, so 3 more. And we're going to be choosing a book based on the question answer style that we did with Evelyn on your channel. And then you'll all be invited to participate and to read with us. And we will have live shows on Onyx Pages like we did today, where we'll talk about the book and so on. So that is going to be happening 3 more times this year.
Yay!
I'm so happy because it means like more Evelyn, more reading, more discovery, more connection, more collaboration. That will be great. So yeah. I'm excited about that. And all of you are invited to participate. So far, the way that you'll find out about events and so on, Evelyn and I will, if I may speak on your behalf, we will both be like uploading stuff and posting on our socials. There's not going to be like a separate Instagram or Twitter, like work. No. If you want to find out more about the book experience, the book collab, the book chats, then just check our community tabs. Subscribe to Evelyn from the internets if you're not already subscribed, although I'm not sure why you wouldn't be, but so subscribe there. Subscribe to Onyx Pages as well. And as long as you are subscribed, you will find out what's happening next. And we'll do our best to do what we did this time, which was to let people know about what was happening. Okay, so this is exciting. The other thing is, what are we going to read next? So in the spirit of collaboration and real-time book recommendations, I'm going to ask you a few questions, Evelyn, and then we'll see what we're going to be reading next. So my first question, I'll do 5, and there will be some audience participation as well. So please, like, audience, participate too. Okay, so Evelyn, what kind of mood, having now finished Lagoon,
yes,
what mood do you want in the next book that we read together? Because now it's like a collaborative thing. So what's the mood?
The mood that I want, that I like, is enchanting.
Enchanting. Okay, enchanting. Now, enchanting can be dark enchanting, right? Like, this is a little creepy, a little strange, right? But I'm still here. I'm here with the story. Or it can be like, bling, like, stars and butterflies, like kind of on the fairy tale side of enchanting. So where are you? Dark and deep, and
let's go. Because I want to disengage from the world, let's go bling.
Okay. So you want a little bit bling. And then in terms of where in the world, right? Because like we did that last time. Our first read was from the African continent. I'm open to also reading a book that I haven't read yet too with you. But where do you want this to be? Where do you want it to be located? Where do you want it to be at?
If it's possible to be based in the Caribbean,
okay,
I think that would be cool.
Okay, so enchanting bling in the Caribbean. Okay,
Yes.
cool. And your thoughts on length are they pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will add that it could either be the Caribbean or a made up place.
Okay. But Caribbean, like kind of Caribbean inspired / connected.
Like if it's on Earth, the Caribbean. If it's not, if it's in a place that we don't know, that's cool too.
Okay, cool. And then do you have any feelings about whether it's like adult, middle grade, or young adult?
I'm cool with adult. Yeah, but I'm also cool with reading YA.
Okay, cool. All right. And let me see if there's anything else. Adult and bling. Okay. I'm just trying to get the mood right. There's a lot of the adult Caribbean with that element of fantasy tends to be dark. Slightly darker. So I have some options. Okay, let me you talk to the people. I'm gonna consult my shelves.
Okay. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. This has been a blessing just to watch Njeri work, do her thing. I enjoyed the book Lagoon immensely. This is my first book of 2021, so clap for me. And I'm excited. Thank you. And I'm excited to continue reading with y'all. So, period. And the reason I wanted enchanting and bling is because I'm in the United States, and right now the United States is not very bling. So I just want to bippity boppity boop out of here. So that's the vibe. That's the vibe for me.
Okay. So there's one. This is not okay. That one's not the Caribbean. Sorry, I'm just in my head for 1 second. No. So we have 3 months. I think you wanted adult though.
I mean, I'm open.
Yeah. You're open to what exactly? Like
I'm open to YA.
So middle grade is around. So a lot of the happy, the fantasy, a lot of the bling fantasy in the Caribbean that I have read has been middle grade. And so if you are feeling like you want something that's more adult, or even like I can't even think off the top of my head of Caribbean fantasy YA that at least that I've read that has the bling element. That bling, the like feel good tends to be a little bit more middle grade.
Okay. I mean, we can bring it a little lower. We can bring it. It doesn't have to be bling. But I'm not in the mood for underworld. So as long as it's not underworld.
Okay. All right. So here are some thoughts. And then if you're comfortable with that, then we can see what our audience has to say about things. Yes. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is it's a trilogy.
Ooh.
But it's middle grade. And this is the Jumbies trilogy by Tracy Batiste. The first book is The Jumbies. And because it's middle grade, even though it's 3, we can get through it, right? So there's that. Then there's Rise of the Jumbies.
Okay.
And then there's The Jumbie God's Revenge. Okay.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay. Love it. Love it.
Okay, so let me just read to you the description of the Jumbies. So Corinne Lemaire claims she isn't afraid of anything. Not scorpions, not the boys who tease her, and certainly not Jumbies. They're just tricksters made up by parents to frighten their children. Then one night, Corinne chases an agouti all the way into the forbidden forest, and shining yellow eyes follow her to the edge of the trees. They couldn't belong to a Jumbie, or could they? When Corinne spots a beautiful stranger at the market the very next day, she knows something extraordinary is about to happen. When this same beauty, called Severine, turns up at Corinne's house, danger is in the air. Severine plans to claim the entire island for the Jumbies. Corinne must call on her courage and her friends and learn to use ancient magic she didn't know she possessed to stop Severine and to save her island home. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So that's the first recommendation.
Okay.
And it would be this trilogy.
Mhm.
The second is Hurricane Child, which is, I just changed my shelves. I just saw it. Hurricane Child.
How are your shelves organized, by the way?
You know, I just reorganized them. So Hurricane Child. So up on the top, I have all my hardbacks, like my pretty hardbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, can you even see? Oh, over here, I have series. So that's like the Shadow Shaper series that Nadia was talking about, and Tochi Onyebuchi. And then I have a shelf that has like literary fiction with elements of magical realism. So there's like some Toni Morrison there. There's then there's Ben Okri, and then I have like some African writing, some Caribbean writing, and that's where I want to sort of expand my knowledge this year. Mm-hmm. Octavia Butler, Samuel Delaney. I have books for giveaways at the bottom. Ooh. When I get like free books and stuff. And then on the left-hand side, I've got my short story collections, my anthologies, and then all Nnedi Okorafor, all N.K. Jemisin, all Nalo Hopkinson, and then comics and graphic novels and stuff.
Wow.
So that's wow. It. Okay. So this is Hurricane Child.
Okay.
And gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, very, very gorgeous. This is also middle grade. So being born during a hurricane is unlucky, and 12-year-old Caroline has had her share of bad luck lately. She's hated and bullied by everyone in her small school on St. Thomas of the U.S. Virgin Islands. A spirit only she can see won't stop following her. And worst of all, Caroline's mother left home one day and never came back. But when a new student named Kalinda arrives, Caroline's luck begins to turn around. Kalinda, a solemn girl from Barbados with a special smile for everyone, becomes Caroline's first and only friend, and the person for whom Caroline has begun to develop a crush. Now, Caroline must find the strength to confront her feelings for Kalinda, brave the spirit stalking her through the islands, and face the reason her mother abandoned her. Together, Caroline and Kalinda must set out in a hurricane to find Caroline's missing mother before Caroline loses her forever. Written with captivating language and an ambiance of magic reminiscent of Caribbean folklore, Hurricane Child tells a story of discovering internal strength. That's the second. Wow. Now, the third one is not set. You're so cute. Tony's like smiling. The third one is not set in the Caribbean, but I'm going to include that as a third option, and then we'll stop at the third option. And that one is, where is it on my shelves? So it's a debut YA novel written by Janata Petrus Nassau. And yeah, can you help me? And it is called, here, The Stars and the Blackness Between Them.
Ooh.
And this will get you your YA. But it's set in the US. It starts in the Caribbean for a little bit, but mostly set in the US. But here's a synopsis. So, and also great cover. And Janata is from Minnesota. So Trinidad, 16-year-old Audrey is heartbroken, having just found out she's going to live in America with her father because her mother caught her with her secret girlfriend, the pastor's daughter. Audrey's grandmother, a dancer who drives a white convertible Mercedes and has a few secrets of her own, reassures her that she won't lose her roots, not even in some place called Minneapolis. America have they spirits too, believe me, she tells Audrey. Minneapolis, 16-year-old Mabel is staring at a picture of Whitney Houston, trying to figure out why she feels the way she feels about her ex Terrell, about her girl Jada, and that moment they had in the woods, and about the vague feeling of illness that's plagued her all summer. Mabel's reverie is cut short when her dad announces that a friend and his just arrived from Trinidad daughter are coming for dinner. Mabel falls hard and fast for Audrey, and she's determined to help Audrey find her way in America. Never an easy thing for a Black girl, as she knows. But their romance takes a turn when test results reveal exactly why Mabel has been feeling low-key sick all summer. Suddenly, it's Audrey who must care for Mabel as she faces a deeply uncertain future. So this one, told in two lush and lyrical voices, Janata Petrus's debut conjures a love that is stronger than hatred, prison, and death, and as vast as the blackness between the stars. This gives me a My Girl. I don't know if you're not, no. Okay. We're born in different decades. It's cool. It's fine. Okay. So those are the three options. So there's the Jumbies trilogy. Now, everybody in the chats, this is option A. Okay, so that is the Jumbies trilogy. Even though it's 3 books, it's middle grade, we can get through them. The second is Hurricane Child by Kaysen Callender. That's option B. And then the third is The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, which is option C. Mm-hmm. So that is it. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Tomi, can you tally? So if you're in the chats, do you want option A, B, or C? And Tomi will tally it up. That is just a factor for you to consider, Evelyn.
Okay.
It really is your choice. So
also, great job on selecting all of that in real time.
Oh, no problem.
We love it.
So is anything jumping out at you? What are your thoughts?
So what's jumping out at me is option A. Just because it's giving me a little more whimsy. Mm-hmm. But what's also jumping out at me is option C, because I love a love story. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm like, ooh, am I going like the teen love route, or, you know, like the whimsical girl route? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see what the chat says, because those are the two I'm really stuck between.
Okay. So what we'll do is, because Tomi is in the middle of doing a task that I didn't give her any warning of. So let's let the votes come in. And Njeri got a Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. I'm ready for I'll take your money. So let's while people are just putting in their thoughts, A, B, or C. Well, actually, no, you don't want B. So A or C is
really is what, right? Yeah.
So A is the Jumbies, and C is the Stars and the Blackness Between Them. So while the votes are being tallied, and this election is going to have a result that we will trust, right? Yes. We're not going to question the will of the people. It will be a factor for you to consider, and you have the final vote. Mm-hmm. Let's just move on for a second and just talk about what I had in here, which was, is there anything that you want to share with folks about where you're at with your like channel or next step? The last we heard of you was the second last video where you said you'd be taking a different turn and doing some exciting things. Is there anything you'd like to share with folks about where you're at?
Yeah, so I spent the past week on an actual vacation. So I've been chilling, you know, what's it called? Just resting that creative part of my brain. And so I did a couple of things. I started a Patreon with my brother. So it's a joint Patreon. So it's patreon.com/fromtheinternets. And our goal with that is to just kind of use that as an incubator. That's where we'll put our ideas. My brother makes music. He also edits. He's edited some of my videos in the past. So that's where we're going to get some insight, some feedback on the things that we want to work on in 2021. I would love to, I am working on co-writing a web series with Halise, my friend who also has a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Halise, HALLEASE. Oh, yeah, that's the Patreon. Everything, there's no difference in perks, so it's a pay what you can model. Everyone gets to see everything. So shout out to the 82 patron cousins that we have so far. Yeah.
I love you guys.
So both me and my brother will be posting on there the things that we are working on. We have one post up already, and when you sign up, you get a special email from us. That's like a quick Q&A.
Awesome.
So that's what's there right now.
And then you said Halise. What were you doing with Halise?
Yeah, so she is creating a short web series called Hardly Working, and it's about two secretaries or, administrative assistants, and the fact that they're hardly working at all times. So I'm co-writing that with her, and we're supposed to actually be meeting sometime next week to kick things off. I know her goal is to have that up by the spring, maybe. So we'll be writing. And yeah, I'm just trying to really get into writing mode and kind of shift away from the social media, always be posting. Sometimes you have to like put a pause on that and write. So going back to my writing roots.
I love that. And I did put this up on Instagram, but want to just say it in real time. Like, I knew you worked hard on your content. I knew you wrote your content. Like I also thought like, wow, like she's really brilliant. These things come like right out of her brain and onto the screen, right? I never really thought about how you put it together until I saw you put it together. Like until I saw you create a script and and then edit and all of that. And I'm just really blown away by your skill. And I can't wait to see what you produce when you're driven by your passion and talent, on your own terms, right? So
absolutely.
That's great. So definitely, like, I am going to become a patron. And Tomi is the Sojourner Campbell household. Here. So yes, and I know that you have so much love, and people will join your patron community. Do we have the tally?
Yes, we do.
All right, Tomi, what's the tally?
So the A's are at 7.
The A's are at 7.
And the C's are at 17.
And the C's are at 17. So the winner is the stars and the blackness between them. And maybe we will have a treat. Maybe Janata might want to participate. So this is going to be our read. So we're going to be coming back together in April. That's going to be the next one. So yeah, so if you are interested in reading with us and, joining us along the journey and also coming to the live show and all of that, then pick up your copy of The Stars and the Blackness Between Them for hashtag Read a Damn Book. And yeah, that's what we're going to read. And make sure that, yes, so am I. Okay, so that is our announcement. I don't think I have, where should we purchase? So that's a good question. I always say buy your stuff from Sister Sci-Fi. I'm not sure if she has a copy of The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, but if she doesn't, I will text her today and ask her to get that. But Sister Sci-Fi, let me just check her website. That's where I would say to go first, because in the spirit of supporting Black women doing all the things, let me just see The Stars. Does she have that? Not yet. She doesn't have the stars and the blackness between them yet, but I will ask her to see if she can get some copies and to sell them on her website, because that's where I recommend people buy their books, keep the money in our communities. So yeah, Sista Sci-Fi. That's why I would suggest that you get them. And then after that, like, you know, try your independent bookstores and so on. And so Isis will order books if you tell her that you're interested in them. So please support Sista Sci-Fi.
Nice.
I don't think that there were any other questions? Okay. And do you have any other announcements or anything like that?
Nope. Okay. I'm excited to get to reading the next book.
Yes, so am I. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I definitely think that if somebody in the channel, Mary, could you put in the chat Sista Sci-Fi's website so you can see, people can see how to get there? It's sistasci-fi.com. I lost my train of thought, but oh well. Okay, so everybody, thank you very much. We're gonna wrap up the live book chat with Evelyn. Evelyn, thank you very much for being here and like being so easy to work with and fun, and for sharing your insights on Lagoon. That was really incredible.
Thanks for having me.
Always. So after this, oh right, okay. So thank you, Sherry, and thank you, and thank you, Brittany. So they're saying in the chats, I do have an event coming up, which is a vision board workshop that will be held on January. Thank you, Brittany. Brittany's like, she has a vision board workshop. Yes, so I have a vision board workshop. And yes, sign up for it. Yes, okay, don't miss it. Thank you. This is what friends do. So I have a vision board workshop. It is inspired by Octavia E. Butler and her work. Octavia E. Butler is she is the first Black woman who's writing, she wasn't calling it Afrofuturism at the time, but speculative fiction and fiction. And we are going to be doing vision boards for 2021 because 2020 was something. So for those of you who are interested in like reflecting on what happened in 2020, thinking about what you want to envision for yourself, but also in the spirit of Octavia Butler collectively, I'll be taking us through a 3-hour online workshop to help you build your vision board. And you'll also be invited to share your thoughts, and we'll have little fun things that we can do throughout the year to keep each other accountable to our dreams and our visions. So you can find out more about the Vision Board Workshop on Eventbrite. It's called Our Destiny Among the Stars. So yes, that is what I am doing on January 16th. So yay, thank you. Yay. Thanks, Brittany, for reminding me to gas myself up. I appreciate that. Okay. So this is it, everybody. Thank you for joining. Remember to read with purpose, and we will see you sometime in April.
Yes. Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.